Hey, plant and animal kids. Here's another episode of Hear It from Schmitt, Poultry Unit Edition. Hopefully this is number 3 lesson of doing this distance learning, and I hope that you're acclimating to it well. If not, please talk to me. Please email me, let me know how I can help you and how we can make this more positive and successful experience for you. So, kind of cool image that I want to start off before we start talking about eggs and the egg production industry. Pretty awesome image here. We have how chickens can grow a little being of a chick in the matter of 21 days, and that process that it occurs inside the egg. And it's pretty incredible how that whole process works. And it's just really awesome image about, what it looks like day by day. And hopefully that those videos that I had you guys watch the other day, those are pretty cool too. So just wanted to, share this image and kind of get your mind warmed up for egg production. So one thing that when it comes to egg production and as an industry, we have to do something called grading of eggs. Now you think about it, what is grades? Well, when you go to school, you do an assignment, you get a grade based on the quality of work that you gave your teacher, right? Well, same thing for eggs. We have to grade eggs based on the quality of the egg. And we have certain standards, like, for you, it's A, B, C, D, and F for a grade. We have different grades for eggs and different standards for eggs. And so I want to kind of share with you some standards that we follow in the agriculture industry. So the general appearance determines its grade. So you look at it, and there's certain factors that go into that grade. And it goes on to internal and external. So external means outside, internal means inside. And the grades that it is given is AA, so A, B, and inedible, which means can't even eat it, not good to even eat. So those are the grades that an egg may get put into. It all grouped into those different grades. So the eggs that are AA or AA are clean, no cracks, and they're the correct shape. Unfortunately, sometimes eggs can come into some wonky, weird shapes that aren't perfect, but our consumers want a perfect egg. So we want to look for that correct shape. And what does that shape even look like? Imagine the perfect egg that you would get from the grocery store. And the wide base at the bottom, and then it tapers up to the tip of the top there of the egg. We'll talk about those parts later. The albumin, which is tight. It's a kind of a film that's around the yolk. The A is mostly good and clean. The albumin is a little spread out, which means it's not really tight, which again, that'll make sense here in a moment. And then B, which means it's not clean. Maybe it has a different shape, not perfectly shaped, but maybe it has like a little flat or spread out yolk. If you have ever cracked an egg and how the yolk kind of forms upwards, that is what it's talking about when it's talking about the shape of the yolk. So the classes. We have different classes of eggs. So it comes in ounces and of weight per dozen of egg, because that's the kind of increment we follow when we go into maybe when we go into the grocery store to buy eggs. So we have jumbo. You might see extra large, medium, small, and peewee size. And so those are the types of sizes, the classes of sizes that you might come across in a store. So if next time you go to the grocery store, maybe when there's lots, maybe after the coronavirus, when there's more food in our stores, you will see so jumbo eggs or large eggs or extra large eggs or medium. And one thing I want you to notice is the different prices too, because those prices change as we, when you go into those different classes. So think about it, jumbo eggs are probably going to be more expensive versus like peewees, probably not so expensive. So that all changes and is based off of consumer preference. So some of those external different things that you might see on eggs that aren't so good, you might see wrinkles, you might see some misshapen parts of the calcium where the egg formed. Some of this could be based on the nutritional health of the animal. But sometimes you might have them they're dirty, so they might have poop and feathers on them. So those are different factors. So we have cleanliness, shape. If there's scratches on the eggs, sometimes you get scratches from the cages. And then any cracks that might be on the eggs, and then weak spots. So weak spots would be where the calcium didn't quite fully form, and so there's a weak little spot on the eggshell. Internal. So in order to see the internal quality, we have to do something called candling, and it's really cool, especially when you have chicks inside. You have to do candling to find out if they're fertile or not. But anyways, candling, what you do is you shine a bright light through the egg, and it shows inside the yolk and the air cell and all those different parts of the egg, and so someone can hold it up to the light and see the different internal qualities. So it identifies those defects like egg yolk color. Yes, yolk does have a color, and there's different things in that. A healthy yolk color would be that rich yellow color. Any other color like brown or maybe has streaks of red blood in it would not be as high of a grade or high of a quality of egg that you would want. Let's see. Next, we have blood spots. So again, those blood spots we were talking about. Sometimes there's some health issues that come across with this. Sometimes when there's blood spots, sometimes it means it's fertilized. But there's other reasons why there would be blood in the yolk. They're also looking for the size of the air cell, and as well as when it does come to fertilized eggs, that you see the embryonic development, so you can see the different stages of the chick, and you'll know how many days, or at least roughly how many days it has left till it's ready to hatch. So a little few egg facts. So the eggshell color is determined by the different breed of hen, but also, like I said, that the eggshell color is also identified through their earlobe color. So if they have a reddish color eggshell or ear. An eggshell also has up to about 17,000 pores on its surface. Excuse me. And then some kind of cool pictures of egg anatomy and kind of just like the different shapes of eggs and the different sizes from the different types of poultry. So like a white egg versus a brown egg. Duck egg is a little bit bigger than a chicken egg. Goose eggs are a little bit larger as well. Pheasants and quail are smaller than a chicken egg. Quail are pretty awesome. They have the brown, the speckles on their eggshells as well. So just a really cool image of those different types of eggs. So we're going to talk about the anatomy of an egg. And so first thing we have is the shell. So that's made out of calcium. The air cell, which is a little air pocket inside the egg. We have a shell membrane, the thin albumen. We have the thick albumen, which would be your egg whites. The chalazae, which is little fibers that hold the yolk right where it's supposed to be within the egg whites. The vitelline membrane, and it's just the outer membrane of the shell. If you've ever hard-boiled eggs and you're peeling it and you peel the little piece of shell off, and you see that very thin papery membrane that is the vitelline, and then we have the germinal disc. That is the part where when it comes to fertilization, sometimes you can see that little disc on your egg yolk. And then of course we have the yolk, which is and when it comes to like the fertilization and the what the chicken uses or the chick uses for energy, the yolk is the nutrients, everything that the chick needs in order to survive through the whole hatching process. So we're going to talk about all of these different factors, and you will have access to this PowerPoint so you can go at your own pace. So we're going to go through each part. So we'll kind of get, I want you to kind of guess your parts. So the yolk, air cell, germinal disc, I got it. The thin albumin, chalaza, shell, and shell membrane. All right, so let's talk about the air cell. The air cell is the blunt end of the egg, and that's where that air pocket's going to be. This is the contraction of the egg during cooling. So this kind of allows it to not explode when the egg is cooling down. So it's all expanded when it's warm, but when it cools down, it has that air space now. The size increases as the egg ages over time. So it does, when it does start to ferment inside that egg, that air cell does dissipate because how many pores are in an eggshell? About 17,000. So that air cell does get taken up by the yolk and the other membranes as time goes on. Now, if anyone has had a spoiled egg before, it does tend to pop when you do crack it. That's how you know that it is an older egg. Germinal disc. So this is the formation from the female. So it's the genetic information that's from the female that's part of the when the egg does get fertilized. So the sperm fertilizes this area within the germinal disc. And then the white spot on the yolk. That's how you identify that that germinal disc. So when you do choose to do the dissection, you look for that white spot on the yolk. So there's an image of that. So the thin and thick albumin. So this is considered the egg white. So you can see on this image what it would be considered the thin and thick. So when you think of like thick, it's going to be like the thick mucousy type of material versus the thin. It's going to be like more like water. So you see on the image here, so this would be like the thin and this would be the thick albumin. And so this is just kind of a source of protein for the chick, but also when you do eat an egg, this is where all your protein is coming from. So the chalaza, this is the twisted cord-like structure, and this is going to anchor that yolk in the center of the egg. It's not going to let it free flow throughout the egg. Then we have the shell. This shell, of course, keeps everything inside, and it is made of calcium carbonate. And so this has a lot of pores in it, which are little tiny holes, like we saw in that first warm-up video. And so, like we talked about, the color is determined by the breed. Different breeds have different colors. And where can you determine that the egg color? You can look at the skin color on the earlobes to determine that color. Shell membranes. So the shell membrane is attached to the shell, and this encloses all the contents within the egg. It doesn't allow all those wet material exit through the eggshell pores. This protects the albumin from any bacteria. Doesn't let anything enter or exit the shell. So this is the vitelline or the yolk membrane, and this surrounds and seals the yolk. This also has to do with, it's like a thick elastic material, but it keeps that yolk contained. And then we have the yolk, and these colors of your yolks are determined by your feed source. So the feed source is more protein, has the darker egg yolks. The lighter yolks is more of a plant-based protein. So there's lots of vitamins and minerals within the yolk. And here's let's see, this is the